Well, hello everyone, this is Dave Strong from the Schmidt Music Saxophone Shop, and today we've got an exciting one. We have a new saxophone from Eastman that I'm going to get to give a try, I get to put through its paces, and get to do a little review on it. Spoiler alert, this is not it. So for the last 8-9 years or so, I've been working with many of the Eastman 52nd Street, and that's what I'm holding right here. This has been their premier saxophone for a long time. This is their, I believe, 650 model, 652. And it's a great horn. It's been one of my favorites of the new breed of horns that are coming out lately. As you can see, it has an unlacquered finish, and it's got that patina on it. It has rolled tone holes. If you can see, each one of those tone holes has a little metal lip that's soldered on the end of there, and that's something they used to do in the old 1950s, 40s, a lot of the classic American saxophones like Bushers, Kahns, and stuff like that. But this is the one they've had for a while, so you're probably familiar with it. I've done a bunch of demos on it. But today we're going to be talking about the Eastman 850. That's the Rue St. George. So the Rue St. George is their new saxophone. And that, ba-bum, is this saxophone right here. And this is a really interesting saxophone. I have been hearing about this coming for years. And I mean years, probably 3-4 years. Maybe not quite 4, but maybe. It's been quite a while. They've been very excited about it, but they want to make sure that they got it right. And I haven't played this yet. What I'm going to do is we're going to split this probably into a few videos. For this first video, we're going to talk about it a little bit. I'll do some playing examples on it and give my first impression. In a second video, I would love to do like a little more of a musical playing example over a tune to see how it sounds in context. And thirdly, I do want to do a comparison of this and the 52nd Street, kind of playing the same lines back to back. And I think that's the order we'll do them in. Maybe we'll do this, and then we'll do the comparison, then we'll play a tune on it. But I want to get all of those three in there. I think this is a big enough new horn to the scene that I want to put it through its paces and give it a fair shake. So if you did not know, the Eastman Company, a number of years back, bought the Haynes Flute Company. And if you don't know the Haynes Flute Company, they are America's oldest flute manufacturer. Handmade flutes, they do $15,000, $20,000, $25,000, $50,000 flutes, handmade. And Eastman bought them a number of years back, and they run pretty much like they used to run, except they also have an intermediate line as well. Now, why that's relevant is if you look at the key work of this 850, boy, especially like the key touches, the silver key touches there, it's metal, there's not a pearl there, kind of looks like a closed hole flute. And a lot of the mechanisms, if I look at some of the ways some of these mechanisms look, they're very reminiscent of how a flute would play. And so that's the thing I noticed right away. I kind of knew it was coming. I knew they were going to do more of a partnership with their Haynes people to do some new stuff with the key work here. But there's lots of other things. When I have a 52nd Street in my hand, first of all, great horn. I really like it. They tend to have a really big kind of fat, great for jazz sound, but work for classical as well. And they feel a little heavy in your hands. It doesn't feel light and cheap. It just feels a little more delicate, especially in the key work. When I move the key work, a lot quieter, very smooth. And it feels, I'd have to get a little used to it. I'm used to really kind of slamming home. I may have a bit of flying fingers, but this feels like if I can get very gentle with it, I could play very fast with this. Like it feels like it's almost unlimited speed, and I think part of that has to do, it feels like as I'm pushing down and lifting up on the keys, they just spring back up almost instantaneously. And like I say, I'm going to have to practice with it a little bit because it throws me off at first, but I could see how, boy, you could just be lightning fast on this, and it's a very smooth, quiet action. Some interesting ergonomics that I like. Check out the thumb rest there and the octave key, the way that rocks. That's very cool. That's very comfortable. I noticed this probably doesn't have much to do with how it plays, but if you see the body brace is kind of a cool looking braided thing, and it's connected with 2 points. I believe on the 52nd Street it was 3 points that it's connected on. If I look, even just little stuff like the way this is shaped back here, normally that's kind of up and angular. Do a little more delicate curve there. Same thing, the 52nd Street on the low C key here had double arms connecting it, and this just has a single arm right there. So yeah, you can tell this isn't just a 52nd Street with straight tone holes. You can tell this is a very different horn. The palm keys sit in a very different spot here. I noticed the way the front F sits. It feels made very specifically to be very efficient, and it feels I imagine if this plays well as well, the classical players are going to love this. This feels just like it's very ergonomic and feels key action is set up not too low, but I think lower than the stock setup on a 52nd Street, although that's adjustable. You can do whatever you want with that. But yeah, just overall a slightly lighter horn. And if you notice on the tone holes there, it is straight tone holes. So it doesn't have the rolled tone holes like the 52nd Street does. And let's talk a little bit about that, kind of the philosophy on this. The 52nd Street, as I said before, was a really good imagining of, it has that classic 50s American horn sound, like what a Con 10M or, a really good Busher would have, or something like that. It had rolled tone holes, which you don't see in a lot of the modern horns, Selmers and Yamahas and that kind of stuff, which can lower resistance and kind of fattens up the sound. This looks like it's trying to be the opposite of that. And I could see this isn't necessarily just an upgrade from the 52nd Street. They're given two options. Like, that's the big fat. If you like a big sound and a lot of it, that the 52nd Street kind of blows people away when they first play that one. What I suspect with this one is this is going to have a more focused sound, a more traditional sound. It's going to be geared to either the classical player or the jazz player who likes a more traditional saxophone, someone who's traditionally liked Selmers and Yanagisawas and Yamahas. And this is an offering from Eastman that I think is trying to lean that direction. At least that's what I've heard from those I've talked to who've gotten to check them out and play them, and from the people at Eastman that I've worked with as well. So yeah, let's take a little time, play through this a bit. I'll play a couple examples. I'm going to play pretty much my first notes once I find a reed that's good, and do a couple examples, and let's come back and talk about, does it play like I thought it would play, and do I think it's any good? So we'll be right back in a second. So yeah, first impression. First of all, I like it. It's a fun horn. A lot more of a traditional sound. And I think that's a really smart move by Eastman. They already had this unique horn with a big voice, and it gave that old classic American sound. You have to excuse me. I don't have air conditioning, and Minnesota is hot right now. But anyway, yeah, much more focus, a little more resistance. I haven't played classical in any serious respect since college, but this I could see being a really good recommendation for a classical player. But all that being said, I'm going to spend some more time with this. And the next video I'm going to do, kind of deciding as I go here, I want to compare this direct and exact playing examples with the 52nd Street Alto that I've got right here, and see if side by side a lot of those differences come through on the other end. Because for me, they play very different, and I really like them both. But I think it was very smart of Eastman to do something like that and then follow it up with something like this. They'll have almost every player covered as far as as far as the classical players, the jazz players who want a more traditional sound, or the people who want that big fat old school sound. And so yeah, next video we'll do the comparison. In the meantime, if you have any questions, if you have any comments on any of this, please reach out to me in the comments below or on our website, schmidtmusic.com, right under Saxophone Shop. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks again.